Hello you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new DC Multiverse Platinum Collection Injustice 2 Batman figure from Mattel. Now this figure comes packaged in a similar style that we've been seeing with the newer Multiverse figures. You've got the blue box. Now the packaging for these Platinum Collection figures is a little bit wider than a normal Multiverse figure. You've got the figure clearly displayed. Up at the top, you've got the Batman name and the Injustice 2 video game logo. Off to the side, you've got an image of Batman from the video game. And then down below, you've got a little tab that says metal, and that's because the figure does incorporate die-cast metal. And then you've got the DC Multiverse logo. On the side of the packaging, you again just have an image of Batman from the video game. And then on the back of the packaging, you have a brief bio in multiple languages for Batman. And then down below, a look at the actual figure with a quote from Batman from the video game. And then also a look at the other figure in this assortment, the Injustice 2 Superman figure, which I looked at the other day. All right, let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside the packaging. Now, the only accessory that comes with this figure is a display base, and this is the exact same thing we saw with the Superman figure. It is just a circular black piece of plastic. You've got the DC logo sculpted on the top. You do have the 2 foot pegs to secure the figure on there. Now, you don't really need the stand itself to keep the figure upright. You know, it stands on its own pretty good. However, because the figure does incorporate die-cast metal, if you're going to display this on a high shelf or something, you might want to use the base just to give it some extra sturdiness so it doesn't fall off. If this thing fell off a high shelf, it could do some damage. Okay, so for the figure itself, I think overall it looks pretty good. Most of the figure is made with die-cast metal, as I mentioned before. So he's got this belt, and this is not die-cast metal. The belt is made with plastic. It is a separate piece on the figure. He's also got these shoulder pads, which are made with plastic, and they do have some articulation to them. He's got the cape here, which is a soft goods cape, and very similar to the Superman cape that we saw with that one. And then the head sculpt itself is also plastic. It's not made with die-cast metal, so it matches up with the rest of the figure pretty good. So even though it's not made with die-cast metal, you know, I think it actually looks pretty good. Now, I've not been able to get the head to pop off very easy. I don't want to force it and risk breaking it, so I can't tell you if you can switch this out with other head sculpts, some more normal looking Batman head sculpt on the figure. I don't know if he ever takes this kind of weird helmet off in the game. Probably does, but I've not actually played the Injustice 2 video game, so I can't say for sure. But overall, like I said, even though the head is not made with die-cast metal, it does match up with the rest of the figure. The rest of the figure, I think it looks pretty good. I like the sculpting detail with like the bat symbol here. It is actually sculpted on there, not just painted. And then you've got the armor pieces with that dark metallic silver, and since it's made with metallic metal, it actually looks like armor, which is nice. He's got this neon blue striping that goes down the arms and also has it on the belt. Also has a little neon blue here on his knee pads, and I think that in the game those actually light up. I think that's what that's supposed to mimic. So it looks okay, not the greatest, but it's okay, I would say. And then, like I said, the belt is a separate piece made with plastic. The belt is probably my least favorite thing because it does stand out a little bit. It does, even though the head sculpt actually matches up with the rest of the figure pretty good. The belt actually, you know, looks like plastic, so you know, it kind of stands out a little bit. But otherwise, I think the detailing on the figure is nice. You've got nice sculpting detail down the legs and everything with the armor pieces, and seems to be pretty true to how Batman appears in the video game. This figure stands, if you count to the tips of his ears on his helmet, about 7¼ inches tall, and these figures are taller than a normal 6-inch figure. Here's a comparison with the Platinum Collection Multiverse Superman figure, which is also made with the die-cast metal. Again, I did review this figure the other day, and the scale between these two figures seems to be pretty good. And then here's a comparison with the Superman figure from the first Injustice video game. This was put out by Mattel as part of their 6-inch Unlimited line. So this is a normal 6-inch figure, and you can see the new figure is taller. And then finally, here's a comparison with a Disney Elite Series Star Wars Boba Fett figure. So these figures are also made out of die-cast metal. I think that's what Mattel was kind of shooting for, the people who like these kinds of figures, these Elite Series type figures. I think that's the demographic they're trying to tap into with these new figures, and they are very similar. You can see they're very similar in height, and again, both figures do incorporate the die-cast metal. Okay, so for articulation, that's probably the weakest thing about these Platinum Collection figures. They're definitely not super articulated. So with Batman here, you can turn the head to the left and to the right, and he can only look down about that much, and then he can look up about that much. You get a little bit of head pivot with this one, but not a whole lot. Arms attached with your standard ball hinge joint there at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out pretty good. Even with these shoulder pads, you know, those are articulated. They are separate pieces, so they don't limit too much of the arm movement there. And then he can also rotate his arm pretty good there at the shoulder. You do get a bicep swivel with this one, but you only get a single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much. And then you don't get rotation at the elbow with these. You get rotation with the hands, but there are no hinges on the hands, so no up and down movement with the hands. And then there's no midsection, ab crunch, or anything like that. You do have a waist swivel, so you can rotate there at the waist, but no pivot or anything. You just get the swivel motion. And then with the legs, you can do the splits good with these. They've got those hinge joints, and you can rotate those hinge joints, so it's not a true thigh swivel, but you do get some rotation up high there. And then you can get the leg forward pretty good, and you can do the leg back pretty good. And then you get a single hinged knee, like with the elbows, it's just a single hinge. And again, you don't get rotation there at the knee. And then no ankle articulation at all, probably because the figure is die-cast metal and is heavy. They decide not to give it ankle articulation, but even the Elite Series Star Wars figures have ankle articulation, so it would have been nice if they'd maybe included something. But as it is, no ankle articulation, and then 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. So pretty much like I said with the Superman figure, I don't really classify this as a normal action figure. It definitely is a bit weak on the articulation side, but if you like die-cast type figures like the Star Wars Elite figures, I think you might want to check these out. I do like how the die-cast metal looks on them, especially with Batman and the armor and everything. I think that looks pretty good. But again, you know, I don't really consider these to be normal action figures. Now, both this figure and the Superman figure will be released here in the United States as GameStop exclusives. They are currently hitting up in Canada at places like Walmart, but when they do see release here in the US, which will probably be in a month or so, they will be GameStop exclusives and cost $30 each. We'll have a full image gallery up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate it. You can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch accounts. I have links to all those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.